Johnny, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
It's your second time here, and it's you're getting a lot more time this time around.
We are, yeah, the majority of the month. We're just kind of, it's really crazy playing all these places that I didn't even know existed. Like more, I guess technically they're like farm towns.
They are. I mean, obviously Canberra is, is our capital, but it is just like a regional area. I mean, that's what's great about this Groovin The Moo tour, is that you're actually playing in places that people don't hear about because they never play them.
Right.
You're actually, one of the few that have played in these towns, and it seems to be why the receptions have been so great. I mean,
yeah.
I was at Maitland and the crowd was really into it.
Yeah. We were really surprised that. But yeah, I'm sure it kind of makes sense. It's kind of a brilliant idea for a festival because you go there once a year with a bunch of bands, and I guess if I was living in Maitland or wherever, I would absolutely be going to that as well.
Well, I suppose it's like the same idea of Glastonbury. People don't really play Glastonbury except for Glastonbury.
Right, exactly.
And so
it does sort of remind me of Glastonbury. I thought of that as well. Yeah.
Just not 150,000 people.
Right, and not as many. There's not like a full-blown roller coaster and all that other nonsense that has nothing to do with music.
But have you done Glastonbury before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
What have your experiences at that one been?
It was a really sort of a really critical time for us. We had, it was sort of fresh off the heels of people putting us on all these lists as far as like, BBC said we were like the sound of 2010, all this like kind of weird labels, Enemy calling us this or that, and so we had a lot to live up to, and, we didn't even, we sort of knew what Enemy was, and didn't really know that BBC poll meant anything, and, just being from America, you're not that familiar with how things go in the rest of the world, sadly, but we've learned a lot since then. But Glastonbury was, it was kind of that moment where it was just like, okay, the Jump are playing Glastonbury, will it, will they live up to what everyone's saying? It was sort of one of those, that's kind of how I felt anyways.
It seems like you've done had more success overseas than you have at home, at least to now.
Well, it's like, yes, of course. But, our record came out in the States like 4 or 5 months after it came out everywhere else.
Okay.
So naturally, it's a little bit behind there. And we have spent a lot of time, in the UK. We've done more tours in Australia than we have in the United States, Granted, we've only been playing as a band for 2 years, but, it's been, but it feels really natural, and, it's kind of nice to just let things be what they are, and not try to force feed anything. But yeah, it's been cool. Our second record is going to be a little bit different. We just finished it, actually, while we were in Australia. We kind of wrote the last line of the last song in a hotel room in Maitland, actually, and then sent it off for mastering, and things were in such a it seemed like such a hurry and a rush. We had like this crazy amount of buzz, like to a fault really, and we were trying to slow it down as much as possible, but a record label in London was just like, no, it's got to be now. We got to put this out now, and the U.S. was like, is much slower moving and that kind of thing, and so the record wasn't ready to be released there. So we've just, the new album we're putting out this year in the fall, I think September maybe, and it'll be a worldwide release, and it's kind of nice to start something kind of a little bit more clean and know what's going on. Yeah.
Free of the mayhem of all.
Yeah,
because
you're playing like one single on the radio in Australia, and then you go to Russia or wherever, and it's a totally different single at a different time, and so that'll be nice to just kind of have these worldwide releases simultaneously. I don't know, it's probably really boring for you at home.
Where did you record the album, the majority of it?
In my kitchen on 12th Street in the East Village, New York City. Not for any other reason than it just started there, and we liked how it was sounding, so we just kept it there, and we've tried one time to go into like a big studio with a producer, just for a day, and we all left feeling really defeated and felt like the music had changed so much that we, you know, what we had made that day wasn't who we were as a band. So at the risk of not sounding as professional and not sounding as sonically maybe standard, I guess. I was going to say exciting, but to me, sometimes things that aren't the standard are what are the most exciting. So yeah, we just kind of did it there, and then then we had to leave for tour. So we just had a few loose ends to finish up, and we did that here. So it feels good to have it all done. Yeah.
Were you able to soundproof the kitchen, or are we going to hear slowly and quietly in the background, turn the fucking music down?
Well, we do this thing where we record direct into our computer, so we're not like using lots of microphones where you hear external noise. There is one song called "I Need a Doctor." I was recording vocals kind of by myself, and one of my friends came by and rang the door buzzer while I was recording, and it picked it up, and so I just left the microphone on and I talked to him for a minute. That exchange actually made it into the song, and it's like in a loop, so it becomes part of the rhythm. So I guess, yeah, in a way, some things were picked up, but I actually think that was probably it, yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be an exciting record, and it sounds like later in the year?
Yeah, they were saying September, somewhere around there, yeah. So we worked, you know, we have this sort of Puritan work ethic where it's just, you know, you're given this opportunity. You know, my whole life I've wanted to make music and I wanted people to hear it. And so finally people are kind of, you know, people are able to hear it, people are listening and wondering what's coming next. So I just think, what else am I going to do, you know? Like, I feel like it's really the only thing that keeps me from literally being bored to death, you know? And, you know, so I just, you know, this idea of putting out a record at least once a year is an exciting idea, you know, like, I think somebody told me the Beatles put out like a record sometimes every 6 months.
Oh,
you know,
more often than that
more
at times.
Than that, yeah. So somebody told me that, or I read actually that Justin Timberlake has waited something like 8 years since his first solo album came out, and you know, in 8 years, the Beatles put out like I think like
everything,
album. Yeah.
That was
It's
their lifespan.
Right, yeah. And they were famous for saying, you know, if you go away long enough, people learn to live without you. And that's not why I'm making music, but like it's really, there's something I think, you know, no one can deny it, that's really gratifying about being able to kind of say whatever you want to say, and then somebody out there is going to listen to it, you know, and maybe it's my like inner ego, or, you know, I don't know, this weird thing where I like to just, I told Jacob yesterday, we were riding in the van, and he said, I just want a nice, quiet, modest, simple life. And I said, well, I want to rub my life in everyone's face. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes.
Words to live by.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it on that note, and enjoy the show at the Metro tonight. It should be fun. And are you going to be playing any new material?
Yeah, we'll play 2 songs off the new record, I think, yeah. So.
Good opportunity to see what's working and what's not.
Yeah, well, you tell me, I guess.
We're looking forward to it, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man.